Hi, welcome to Exploring Illusion Free Will. My name is George Ortega. I'm here with my co-host Enel. Enel, good to see you. Okay, this is episode number 103, Free Will Off the Cuff number 8. In these episodes, we basically use to just like say whatever we want to say. There's no script. So basically what's happening is like we have no idea what we're going to say. We're going to see what the universe makes us say. And like, this is kind of like, it'll be a good way to demonstrate how everything is a movie, that basically it is scripted, but it's not scripted by us. Okay, so like, how is the universe going to start this show?
What is free will? Okay,
what is free will? Free will is the absurd notion that the universe makes us think, because again, if we had a free will, nobody would get this wrong. It's the idea that like what we do, think, feel, say, and stuff is up to us. That we're responsible for it.
We're just along for the ride.
Right. And the reality is nothing is up to us at all. Nothing that we do, think, every thought that comes into your mind, everything we've ever done, everything you've ever done, everything we'll ever do is completely scripted. The entire world is a movie. Now explain, let's go into the causality. Why is nothing up to us? Why is all of reality just like a movie?
Everything has to have a cause.
Okay,
and every cause has a cause, and every cause of that cause has a cause, all the way back, regress to the beginning of time and before we were born.
People, how do you not get this? How do you not get this? The friggin' universe, how does like the universe not allow people to understand that if everything has a cause, free will has to be impossible?
I want to try a new way of doing this.
How do they?
First of all, why is this important? All right, look, free will is the ability to make decisions 100% independent of genetics and conditioning. Totally impossible. I can't even define free will because it's incoherent. Why is this important?
It's important because everybody's like, because we may have a third world war because of this. Because like the countries are blaming each other, everybody's blaming each other. Climate change is going to like threaten us. We're going to blame, everybody's going to be at each other.
So from billionaires to millionaires to paupers, none of us have free will.
Nobody has free will.
It's not like some people do. You hear people say, well, America has more political freedom. No one has free will. Everything is mandatory. There's no voluntarily, voluntary. You don't act voluntarily, is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly.
Ever. It's all, yeah.
Exactly.
You always have no choice. There's an invisible gun to your head. I want to try a different technique. Okay, let me give you some top guys that are considered evil.
Okay.
Hitler, Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, Sendersky, the Penn State guy, Bernie Madoff, this guy Jim Holmes, who shot everyone in Colorado with the Dark Knight, remember, okay? And this guy who pushed a guy onto the subway. If you were that guy, atom for atom, neuron for neuron, quark for quark, neutrino for neutrino, Higgs boson for Higgs boson, evil soul for evil soul, you would be that guy.
Yeah.
So if you were that guy, atom for atom, neuron for neuron, you would be Hitler.
In other words, yeah.
So don't say, I wouldn't be Hitler because I would have a soul that made free choices. You would have his soul as well. Atom for atom, quark for quark, soul for soul, evil soul for evil soul. So you would make the exact same decisions and behaviors that all these evil, quote-unquote, evil guys did. How is there any room for free will? Once I say it that way, you would be him and he would be you if he had your atom, parents, genetics, conditioning, atom for atom, quark for quark, neuron for neuron, neutrino, quark for quark, Higgs boson. You would be him and you would have his soul, right, quote-unquote.
Right.
You would be them and they would be you. Where's free will?
There's no free will there.
How do you like, does that make sense?
Of course it makes sense.
I've never described it that way.
Yeah, it's like, and Sam Harris did it in his book, it's basically, we're lucky if we're not
No, but that rabbi said you wouldn't be him because you would have a different soul and you would make different choices.
But no, that's a mistake. Basically, if
you have to have that soul as well. If you had Hitler's soul.
If we had Hitler's genetics, if we had, let me talk.
Right.
If we had Hitler's experience, his mind, his experience, his life, we would be Hitler. It would be the exact same thing. A lot
exactly.
of it was opportunity. He happened to be in Germany. Germany happens to have this geopolitical stuff going on because of World War I and all this stuff. It's all about stuff that nothing's up to us. So what you're saying is complete. So in other words, when you get that these mass genocidal murderers like Hitler and Mao Zedong and all these guys had to do what they did. I mean, you can't allow people like that to gain power. That's the thing. But again, all of a sudden, you don't hate anybody. You don't hate even the worst evil person that's ever.
That's what I'm trying to list. The most evil people that's ever lived. Yeah.
I know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And also it can be said for all the most saintly, heroic people that they shouldn't be overly revered as heroes because they were just doing what was natural for them to do.
Moses, Jesus, I mean, like these guys.
Well, I'm saying, like, you know, I don't know, the guy who landed that plane, the hero, Sully Sussberg or whatever.
Right.
Or a firefighter went into the 9/11 buildings to rescue people. I mean, they're heroes, right? But they were just doing what their genetics and conditioning taught them to do. And if you were born in their situation, you would have done the same thing.
Right. And why is it important? Because, like, a lot of times, let's say you do something heroic. Okay, so you're like...
let's just not take the evil. Let's take both sides.
Right. So, you know, you might be given a reward. You might be given the key to the city. People will be very grateful. But you don't become arrogant. You say, oh, yeah, I'm so much better, you guys. I'm a hero now. Like, you guys don't rate and stuff. Because you would understand that, like, hey, it wasn't up to me. You know, I'm just, you know...
Right place, right time.
Exactly. You know, so so basically the heroes of our time, of any time, would be completely humble. They would not be arrogant. They would not be boastful. They would, you know, that's you know, because...
The thing is, the families that are affected, when someone murders someone, they love to call the guy evil and hope he rots in hell. Well, why is that? Because they're so angry.
It's because of free will thing. If those families understood that those people had absolutely nothing to do with what they did, they would be asking, and a lot of people ask this anyhow, why is God, why is the universe doing this? Why is God allowing this person to do this? Why is God making this person do this?
So to make this clear, if you were another person, atom for atom, quark for quark, neuron for neuron, you would be the other person.
Yeah.
Evil soul and all. So why is it that in Nazi Germany, in that time period, some Germans actually saved Jews and helped them? Why, if they had the same conditioning in the same country, was it their free will acting that morally, or even like I saw the movie Lincoln, that some guys wanted to free the slaves? How does that happen in an evil culture like Nazi Germany? Why did some people not go along with it?
There's a guy, a science writer. His name is Chris Mooney. He writes science books. He just wrote a book.
I'm just saying that's what makes people believe in free will. That not everyone went with the flow.
Absolutely.
So tell me that.
All right. So all right. This guy Chris Mooney is a science writer. He just wrote a book called The Republican Brain. Basically, it shows how, like, a lot of our political decisions, who we vote for, what our political views are actually genetic. In other words, if you have a certain genes, there's absolutely no way you're going to vote for a Democrat or a liberal. You're going to vote Republican. For a lot of people, like liberals, Democrats would blame these Republicans are so evil because, like, they're not allowing us to do anything about climate change. You know, like, they ignore it, they deny it, they don't understand and stuff. And, like, the truth is, they have no choice in it. The genes that they have, and again, it applies to Democrats also, to everyone. You know, basically, this genetic structure is so strong, they understand it so well that what your genes have, you know, how your gene structure is, your genetic code and all, is going to determine your political
Okay, but
views.
you're not answering the question. So Nazi Hitler Germany, what caused certain people to go against the grain and say, wait, this is wrong?
The genes. I mean, it was the genes, and then, like, it was like, for example, like, if you have a certain amount of genes, you're going to also raise your kids in the way that you are. So, like, in Germany,
what about their causal history?
That's what I'm saying.
Genetics and history. I mean, conditioning. What if a German was bike riding one day and went to a pond and fell and hurt himself, and a Jew helped him up and you know, brought him in it was cold out and said, come over for some hot tea before the war and everything. You're an 8-year-old kid, you fall into a pond or wherever, someone rescues you, you're not going to grow up hating them. Your causal history was, wow, they're nice people. They shouldn't be exterminated. Then the war breaks out in Nazi Germany. You remember that childhood memory, that how great that Jewish lady was and that family outside of Frankfurt or whatever that rescued me from that icy pond and gave me oatmeal and a hot bed and a water bottle and fruit and the world's greatest salmon and a hot tea. And then I went back every year to celebrate. And then suddenly my ruler wants to kill you have different causal history. So here they are looking like it's their free will standing up against Nazi Germany. But really they had a causal, not just the genetic, but they had a causal thing in their past that made them like Jews.
You're absolutely right.
Something like that.
That is an excellent illustration. Because
of how that could happen.
Yeah.
And everybody else never intermingled with the Jews, so they automatically listened to Hitler saying they're all evil. But if you have a different childhood memory where they rescued you and were nice to you and you met the family, you met the family dog, you hung out by the fireplace, you're going to go ahead as a Nazi soldier when you're 25 and start exterminating them?
I know.
But your other friends are. Why? They don't know. They didn't meet that family.
Genetics.
Remember, you went in the woods. You went down the wrong path. You met a whole different person.
I know. Genetics only explains about 50% of our personality. So what you're saying is
It's a causal chain.
Right.
By meeting the Jews, getting to know them, being friendly with them.
You're completely right. So
you're more likely to hide that family in your closet or your staircase when you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
that's very important.
That's very important.
That's not free will.
That's
People
not
think,
free will.
These Germans acted with their free will. They worked within their moral compass and used their godlike moral soul to make a moral decision that God would like, and tell Hitler he was wrong and ran away or whatever.
All right. I want to this is like an off the cuff. We can talk about whatever we want.
That's what I'm talking about.
But all right, fine. We've established you can't blame the genocidal murderers. You can't blame Hitler. You can't blame anyone for anything.
Nor can you praise the ones that try to stop them, like I just gave you an example.
I know. But here's the thing. All right, fine. We've established that the universe, God, I don't care what you want to call it, how you want to see it, is making these homicidal maniacs, genocidal, it's making people do that. Why on earth, why in the universe would the universe do that? That's a big question.
Why not?
Because, I'll tell you why not. Because, if you were the universe, if you were God, what good reason would you have to afflict pain on a completely vulnerable, powerless being?
That assumes God has a personality and cares one way or the other.
That's
the universe.
Well, but all right.
Why not? It's all the same to the universe. It doesn't care.
I don't know about that. I mean, I hope you're wrong.
It's like you said that it's a movie in your previous show. So God is the casting director, and like a good movie, he needs a few nutty dictators.
All right. We could see the universe
power
that way.
hungry. You've coined the hedonic imperative. So a mass-murdering dictator is trying to hold on to power, like it happened in Egypt.
You're God, okay? Now,
the
thing is, the idea is all right, we could see God or the universe as completely indifferent. It just doesn't care. It just doesn't care. But that doesn't make sense also, because you want to know why it doesn't make sense? Because, the average level of happiness here in the United States is about 70%. People, we are basically happy. So the universe recognizes, it made us. It made us seek pleasure and avoid pain. We can't help but do that. It made us into beings and it's rewarding us. Basically, we have generally good lives, and that's good. So, it's the universe understands what it's doing, but why? I mean...
Remember, you're only happy because you think the world's ending, so I don't know how happy you are.
No, the reason I'm limiting my happiness, the universe is making me limit my happiness.
You told me privately you can't wait for December 21st.
Absolutely, because I'll tell you why.
How are your audience going to listen to you if you're...
I'll talk to the audience right now.
Happier.
I'm wearing this sweatshirt saying vegan because the universe is making us torture and kill 60 billion sentient animals every year. I mean, we imprison chickens. The chickens ordinarily live, 5-6 years and all. The lives we give them, they live 5 per cage, stacked, on top of each other, so the feces coming down and stuff. 6-7 weeks. It's horrible. It's horrible. Pigs, cows. I mean, this generation, these last 100 years, especially now the last 10-20 years, we are the most evil people in the history of civilization. And if the Mayans were right, then it's good that God is destroying us, because basically what God has to do is to destroy the entire human race, start from scratch with the amoebas, paramoebas, and evolve us all into what I'm hoping is, all right, getting back to my point, why is the universe doing this? The universe is...
The universe doing it because there's a finite amount of energy that we're competing over. That's why it happens.
No, but what's
power and money?
All right, but
and energy.
If we're going to blame the universe for anything, because it's a question about whether the universe has free will, but if the universe...
The universe does not have free will. We've gone over this before.
If it has this the universe doesn't have free will, but the idea is the one thing the universe got wrong, the only thing...
is that there's pain.
Yeah. Well, think about it, because if there was no pain, who would care if we had a free will or not? Because if there's no pain, there would be no pain from mistakenly.
But without pain, you're not motivated to do anything.
No, but if without pain, it wouldn't care if you do anything. Nobody would matter.
But we have to fight. We have to compete over finite resources.
But no, we don't, because if there's no pain, it doesn't matter whether we win or lose. Doesn't matter.
We wouldn't need to eat. We wouldn't need energy.
Doesn't matter whether we live or die. No pain, no pain. I mean, that's the thing. That's why we believe in a heaven. I believe in a heaven. I believe when we die, because we don't have free will, we all ascend to this bliss. I have absolutely no proof for this.
There'll be no motivation to do anything in your heaven if everything's bliss. We're just floating around, and that sounds boring.
All right, think about this. You say
But
it's
then
boring.
again, there's no such thing as boredom and bliss, right?
There you go. There you go.
Look, let's stick with no free will. So you said very coherently why in Nazi Germany the person who went against the grain was not using their free will, or I said very why they were using their causal history or genetics.
Mm-hmm.
And also for heroes, the same thing.
Right.
That's interesting. I'm going to meditate while you talk.
So yeah, nothing is up to us. How do people not get this? Everything has a cause. I mean, like this has got to be the 1000th time that I talk. Everything has a cause, okay? That means every decision we make has a cause. And there's going to be a cause to that cause. There's going to be a cause to that cause. These causes are going back moment by moment by moment into the past. So what happens is like stuff that happened before we were born, before the planet was created.
But a lot of people don't know what the cause is.
Determining everything that's happening now. It doesn't matter if we know it or not. We know that everything has to have a cause.
So it's in your sub and unconscious.
That's a good point. Some people think like, we don't know what the cause is. That's completely inconsequential. We know that everything has to have a cause because
you weren't born with a belief system. You had to learn it.
Right.
And you have your genetics.
You want to address this randomness stuff. A lot of people, quantum mechanics has some results. In other words, they don't understand a particle, they don't understand where a particle is going to be until they see it there, right? And some physicists say, well, if we don't understand how it got to its place, if we can't predict its behavior under classical methods, that means...
It must be indeterminate.
Right. That means, like, it must be indeterminate. In other words, it's not deterministic. In other words, this particle is violating causality. Some physicists, some scientists get this absurd notion, it's a complete mistake, it's a complete misinterpretation. And why is it? Because, like, the particle, fine, we don't know how it got from point A to point B. We can't predict its behavior, but it got there somehow. And the way to explain this, the most salient way, the most crucial way, is like basically our universe, we can only see like 4% of it because, like, according to all the gravitational forces and stuff, there's 96% of the universe that has never been detected, but we know it has to be there. So in terms of, like, fine, a scientist doesn't know how particle 1 got from point A to point B, but you can't conclude because you don't know how it got there that it got there uncaused. There was a cause to it. So in other words, what I'm saying is there's no such thing as randomness in the sense of things happening without a cause. So that's why, basically, I'm accentuating the point that everything has to have a cause.
Okay, but if everything is a circle that has a cause, and then if everything that were over here were random, even if you intersected them two, it still would never cause free will. There's no free will any which way. So if it's all random or all causal, and then there's some, like 5% of this and 10%, I mean, where is there free will, even if there was randomness?
Good point. Because a lot of times,
say it's 90%. Say you had two. Here, I could draw it. Keep talking. I'll draw it.
Yeah, a lot of times, I think a lot of this whole thing about randomness and causality and quantum mechanics, I think it came up because people wanted to try to salvage this idea that they have a free will. They thought, well, if not everything is causal, if not everything is deterministic, maybe that leaves an opening for free will. Actually makes the matter worse. Because if things are happening uncaused...
So if things are causal or random...
If things are happening uncaused, they couldn't be caused by our will. They're not caused by us, they're not caused by anything. That doesn't give you free will.
Okay, now you overlap the circles, causal and random. Say there's 80% of this. There's no place for free will, which is all I'm concerned about.
Right. Some people say, well, part of reality is causal, part of it's random.
All right, okay, 90% causal, 10% random, or 90% random, 10%. Where's free will? I don't know where free will is to be found.
It's not anywhere. And so how does the universe not allow people to understand this?
But I happen to believe it's 100% causal. I don't believe in randomness.
Because the universe made you understand this, I know.
Sam Harris thinks there's randomness.
And how could Sam Harris not get this? He's a neuroscientist. These people, these scientists believe that things happen without causes.
But as long as the audience understands that uncaused phenomena, which otherwise known as randomness, doesn't help your case for free will.
Exactly.
How is it? That's all we're arguing. But if you start arguing with me about that you have free will because, that things are random and you're defending free will, that's not the way. That's the worst way to do it. I can't think of a worse way.
I know. This shows...
Think of it, if everything's random, like say you do the Powerball lottery, right? You win $200 million.
Right.
And you quote-unquote randomly won it. Where's free will? Where's the free will in that? What did you do to deserve that?
I didn't just do anything.
You got lucky.
I got lucky, and luck isn't up to us. It's not up to me.
Luck, by definition, is not up to, right. You go to a casino, you get lucky. You got lucky.
This show is scheduled...
Or unlucky.
Yeah, this show is scheduled to air on January 17th, okay?
Really?
Now, if the world didn't end on the 21st.
What day of the week is that?
Thursday. That's
So if you're watching this on January 7th, I hope the Giants are in the playoffs, and I hope they're doing well.
And obviously,
the game will be this Saturday or
and
Sunday.
obviously the world didn't end on December 21st.
Well, that I knew.
Because if it did, you're not watching this. Because like obviously. So the idea is,
I'm announcing to
my
the world
point.
that I'm saying there is 0% chance of the world ending. I think it's the
you
craziest
don't
thing I've
know.
ever heard.
But anyway, my point is like if
There's
we're
zero,
still
there's
around,
too many people.
if we're still around in January, the idea is like, all right, maybe this mind thing wasn't about the world ending, but then what could it be about? Because they said this is the end of a 26,000-year cycle, the beginning of a new
26,000 years
one.
of insanity based on free
Right.
will.
So like,
era.
what is it about? The Mayan prophecy, if we're still around in January, wasn't about the world ending. Perhaps, maybe it'll
death
end
of the belief
might
in
end in
free will.
2014. Who knows? But
No, they said 2012.
No, because it could be approximation. Prediction.
No, it's
you
not.
can't
It's
get all
December.
that accurate.
They've been talking about this for years.
But anyway, all right.
But they're right.
So
it is the end of
if
an
it's
era.
not about the world ending, it's to a large part, because I think it's going to be a lot more than this. It's going to be about the human race overcoming this illusion of free will and creating a brand new human race, a new consciousness. Everybody getting this is bigger. Tell them.
So the end of free will, do you agree, is also the end of the belief of heaven and hell?
Yes, because like the only way you can justify hell is you believe in free will because a person is so evil they deserve to suffer eternally. That's such a sick belief.
Or, like the Calvinists said, there is heaven or hell and it's predetermined who goes.
Right.
Either way isn't crazy.
But yeah,
there's no free will.
Right. If you're going to create beings.
Yeah, why be predetermined for heaven or hell? Talk about unfair. Rest of eternity in heaven or hell when it wasn't even up to you.
That's sick. How do people believe that? How does the universe? Again, you can't blame people for that belief.
Calvinists understood that there's no free will, but they were still trying to justify feeling chosen or not to be moral or whatever.
Why does the universe put such hateful, evil beliefs in people's minds? That's sick. And it's the universe doing it. It's like, why did, again, getting back to this issue of pain. Pain is really the main thing in reality. If you were the universe and you create a species, all these beings, sentient beings, and you program them to seek pleasure and avoid pain.
Right.
Why would you put them in pain at all? It just doesn't make sense.
Makes sense to me. You would lie around doing nothing all day. Nobody would be doing anything.
All right, how about...
In other words, if you're going to touch that hot stove, you wouldn't be motivated not to do it because there is no pain.
You're forgetting something.
There's no pain in your view, right? So then I would just put my hand on it.
You're God. You're the universe. Basically, we're puppets. We're marionettes. Nothing is up to us. Everything is up to you, right? So how do people do what they do? Because you make them. In other words, they don't feel pain, but they go up and do work and do all this stuff because you're making them do that.
So why not sit on a hot stove?
Because you don't want them to. If you, as the universe, wanted them to...
I don't want them to. That's why it's painful. You burn your finger.
But that's what I'm saying. If you are God or the universe, you don't have to rely on pain as a conditioner because you could just make them not put their hand on the stove. You can make them not feel any pain at all.
How would they know what it feels like to put it on? They have to know what the pain is like to not do it.
You just dude, if you're controlling every action that they're doing, you don't make them put their hand on the stove.
But there would be no causality. There would need to be a causality. Why they're not putting it? They're not putting their hand on the stove because it hurts.
The causality is they're not putting their hand on the stove because you're not allowing them to. You're not making them.
So they go like this and then they can't do it?
Well, think about it. Why does somebody put their hand on the stove anyhow? Because God, the universe, is making them do that, regardless of the pain. So you're God. You would like...
I don't want to get into arguments about why there's pain and why God made a mistake. I just want to talk about there's no free will. You get off on these crazy tangents.
But I'll tell you.
All right, so who cares?
This is important because after this is show number 103. We have so firmly, so conclusively established the idea that there's no free will. And it may take people 10 years to get this. Who knows? But the question is, fine.
I just want to say today's December 6th, right?
Yeah.
It's a 2 years anniversary that I found out that my friend Werner was no longer with us.
Wow, he's up there in bliss, dude. Yeah.
I don't know where he is.
Some people say you can talk to him.
No, he hasn't come and visited. He would have visited me by now.
But yeah, so
So in heaven, no one's trying to earn money because that's what causes a lot of pain.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they are, but if they are, they're enjoying it.
Then how would anybody ever quit a job?
Think about it. All right, you were saying that
nobody would do anything if there was no pain.
You were saying
you would just float around blissfully.
You were saying that bliss wouldn't work here on earth, right? Because like nobody, but you want to, the truth is heaven as purported by Jews, Christians, Muslims, is a place that's of complete bliss.
I don't believe in heaven.
No, but
I
they
believe in
do.
reincarnation with energy.
What's
and you
wrong
have
with
no
heaven?
recollection of your previous life.
Why don't you believe in heaven? You should believe in heaven, in bliss.
Doesn't sound right to me.
I'm not going to blame you.
It would be too crowded, first of all. You know how many people would be in heaven?
You know how
Alexander
big
the Great, Marco Polo.
It's crowded. You know how big the universe is? We're a tiny...
Everybody that's ever lived is going to be hanging out. At what age are you hanging out at? The age that you died?
Maybe you can choose what age. Maybe you could be like, one day you could be 5 years old, another day you can be 25.
Ridiculous now.
Adam?
I mean, are you the age that you died at? So a 99-year-old is crippled and old for the rest of eternity, and if you die 20 in a football accident or a car accident in high school, you're a healthy young guy. I mean,
right? No.
You leave Earth and you still continue at that age forever.
It could.
So if you're a crippled 103-year-old, doubled over in arthritic pain, you get that for eternity.
All right,
you never answer what age you'll be.
Well, all right. Basically, the idea is like, who's to say that we actually have a physical body in heaven?
We don't.
We might. So then, if we don't
what
have
age is your spirit?
Right. So like, oh,
are you a miserable old crotchety guy, or are you an optimistic 15-year-old?
Well, maybe you can decide. I mean, today,
decide
for the next 100 years,
freely decide.
No.
So then
you don't have free will in heaven.
Right. So
you can't have free will in
if
heaven.
your causality says I want to be the 102-year-old guy in pain for eternity versus a 25-year-old healthy guy, I mean that's not fair either.
Huh? You're not going to do that. If you're in bliss, if you're like up in heaven in bliss, you're not going to
Let's just finish with no free will.
All right.
Sorry, audience. This show is about how there's no free will. We got off on these crazy...
You don't have free... No.
He's the king.
This
he does these crazy... It's not... I don't care why God caused pain.
I'm going to create a new show.
I don't care if there's heaven. All I care about is refuting this ridiculous thing called free will. Doesn't exist. It needs to be stopped.
Yes.
It's out of control.
And this
People
is the biggest
flip-flop,
thing ever.
They take it both ways. I don't care if there's heaven. I don't care how the universe started. I don't care about the Bible. I don't care about why there's pain. There's no free will. Thank you.
What he said.